A very warm welcome to StudyIQ. I am Prashant Mavani. I hope you all are doing good, my dear friends. Today is 17th November. It's Saturday today, and today we are going to start with this quote by William E. Gladstone. Justice delayed is justice denied. The reason why we are discussing this particular quote is because today we have a very important article on a crippling shortage. Yesterday we were talking about remember this infographic. It was in news because Supreme Court of India is not at all happy with the situation that is going on in subordinate or a lower judiciary of our judicial system. So we are going to go through some important facts, but before that we are going to find out reasons behind this vacuum and behind this justice delayed is justice delayed is justice denied, and why it is true for our country. But before that, I would like to introduce all of you to our pen drive and tablet courses, which are available for various different exams, as you can see on your screen. To find out more about it, do check out StudyIQ.com. If you have any question or queries regarding it, feel free and give us a call on the numbers that you can see on your screen. And now, dear friends, a crippling shortage. One of the main reasons why we find that it takes ages in our country for us to get justice is first of all lumbering judicial processes. It takes ages. There are so many draconian, or I would say outdated, procedures that are still going on. Like, say for example, if someone is not well, or if an advocate has to visit a marriage or a social function, then as well he or she can ask for a next date. So this repeated adjournments are one of the main reason, but this is not the only reason. We have this chronic shortage of judges in our country. As per this report, 24% vacancy is there in our lower judiciary. Then again, on top we have the severe understaffing of the courts. So we have lack of people who are looking after infrastructure maintenance, lack of personnel as far as this supportive roles, writing reports, and there are so many various different stuffs that that court has to deal with. So we have a severe understaffing of this supportive staff, as well as chronic shortage of judges. So these three are core reasons behind delay in justice in our country. It's not the first time it is in news. It has been in news. It's a sort of you can say evergreen current affairs, right? It's a topic that is part of evergreen current affairs. And back in 2007 as well, Supreme Court laid down some guidelines to fill up vacancies in lower judiciary. And if we look at the situation, if we compare what it used to be in 2007 and if we compare what it is at present, then we find that things are as it used to be back in 2007 or a decade ago. Now you can see here that in Uttar Pradesh, when it comes to lower judiciary, there is 42.18% vacancy. Bihar, 37.23. A staggering vacancy is there in Meghalaya, 59.79. You can say, roughly speaking, 60%. So just 40% judges are looking after this high court that you have in, or this not high court, but this lower courts that you have in Meghalaya. If you go through a proper figure, it is, you can write down 5,000 plus, but the most accurate figure is 5,133 vacancies are there out of 22,036 sanctioned posts in our country. So this is one of the main reason why CJI Ranjan Gogoi is not at all happy with high courts as well as state governments. Now we are going to learn why, or what is the role of, or why this Supreme Court is not happy with state governments as well as high courts, or what is the role of high courts and state governments when it comes to filling up these vacancies, or running of this lower judiciary is concerned. Now you have these 3 points here: utter tardiness in the process of calling for applications. This is something that has to do with state government. Holding recruitment examinations and declaring the results, again something to do with state government. The third reason is finding the funds. This is one of the most common excuse that we find coming from various different states. They say that they don't have enough resources, enough money, enough land, enough other things resources in general to accommodate or to provide these facilities like cars and butlers and other, orderly people or servants maybe, and this infrastructure of courts or accommodation for judges and all these things. So it is a costly affair, as per, this is an excuse that has been given by many states. But the thing is, if we look at on the other side, right, we have so many examples. Like, let's take example of Bihar. One of the main reason why Bihar has not been able to transform itself into an industrial state is because lack of law and orders. This is lack of law and order, or poor law and order situation in Bihar. So of course you and I will not be interested in investing in Afghanistan or Pakistan, because we know the situation, what's going on over there, or maybe in this Gaza Strip that we were talking about yesterday, because that security is not there. So these are some of the basic reason, that we are not able to achieve that GDP figure or that growth rate. We are missing so many things. So investing in infrastructure of courts and creating some situation for a good situation for judges, or creating this platform where they can perform, is not an expense. In fact, it is a long-term investment. Then you have this public service commissions. Every state has its own public service commissions or commission, so they should recruit the staff to assist these judges, but they are quite tardy, or you can say lethargic. And then you have state governments, they have to build courts, which I have already explained it to you. According to constitution, district judges are appointed by the governor in consultation with the High Court, and there is a rule as well. The time limit is 153 days for 2-tier recruitment, and 273 days for 3-tier process. But easily it's something that is, we have never, or we hardly work on these deadlines. These are some of the things that are associated with, this is one of the main reason why the Supreme Court is not happy with state government and of course high courts. Moving on to second item, it's unnecessary, destabilizing and expensive. Now, what exactly is unnecessary, destabilizing and expensive? This article is about this submarine, nuclear submarine, or SSBNs, that's what they are called, right? So recently Arihant was in news. We completed this nuclear triad using Arihant, and it was a big thing, and it was a big news, and Prime Minister was excited about it, and there are so many of us, so many of us were as well excited about it. But if we go through this article, then we realize, or we can ask this question to ourselves, that do we really need this type of nuclear submarines? Now, there is a basic difference between nuclear submarine and a diesel engine submarine. Nuclear submarine is fueled by, of course, an onboard nuclear reactor. So basically it can stay underwater for a very long period of time, compared to diesel submarine. Now, for combustion, or a combustion engine will require oxygen, and for this oxygen you have to, you have this storage of storage tank of oxygen for your combustion in this conventional diesel submarine. So periodically it has to come to surface to grab some of oxygen, and then it goes back again underwater. So this creates some sort of issues with security. As we all know that submarines, they operate in this covert world, so they are not that efficient when you compare them with nuclear submarines. But nuclear submarines have their own drawbacks. Now, SSBNs were first deployed during Cold War, and this Cold War, that was a situation that was going on between USSR and USA between 1945 to 1991. Things are over, thanks God. But at that point of time, when this Cold War was going on, we had this situation of Cuban Missile Crisis. I'm not sure how many of you are aware about this thing. I'll give you a brief background about this Cuban Missile Crisis. So USA was deploying its nuclear weapons in this Turkey, as well as Italy and other places, and to create equivalent or more pressure on USA. USSR deployed missiles, this nuclear missiles in Cuba. So USA was a bit shocked, as well as it was quite frightened as well, because Cuba is somewhat 50-60 kilometers from this coastal area of USA. So you can say they are like stones throw away from each other. So this was a big crisis, and it was assumed, or it was presumed at that point of time, that the world is going to see a nuclear war between these two giants. Now we have this, a very interesting story coming from this Cold War era time, and this is coming from a person, right? It is associated with this man here on your screen. His name is Vasili Arkhipov. He has been awarded with this Future of Life award posthumously. Of course, he is no more between us, but this man probably played a very important role in averting World War III, because he was, I'll give you example of this film called Ghazi Attack. I'm sure many of you have watched this film called Ghazi Attack, and in this Ghazi Attack film you have this, the main man, the main captain of this submarine is a bit aggressive and is ready for a war and things like that. So we can have this sort of person as well, because of a person, because of one individual, two nations can be in a state of war with each other. And when it is, say for example, USA and USSR, or any two nuclear powers, then it's a big red flag for the whole world and for humanity too. So there was a time when this crisis were going on, this Cold War as well as this Cuban crisis were going on at that point of time. Vasily was traveling in a USSR's submarine, and the main captain, the main person, said that because they lost this USSR, they lost the connection with USSR, so it was felt by this this main captain of the ship that that USSR and USA are in state of war with each other. So this is the right time. They are not far from USA, so they should launch some couple of nuclear torpedoes. And it was Vasily who objected, as well as he refused to agree on this thing, and because of this thing, these torpedoes were not launched by USSR's submarine. And when they got this connection back, they realized that nothing like that, nothing like a war, proper war sort of situation was not going on between these two countries. So it is also said that Vasily averted this World War III. So I hope things are clear to you. We can have this sort of situation as well when you have this nuclear triad in submarine, or when we have this nuclear weapons in submarine, right? So having nuclear triad or achieving nuclear triad is not something always that is necessary, particularly in today's era, because we have more lethal weapons, or more lethal nuclear weapons that we can deploy from, or that we can launch from surface. Or when I say surface, I'm talking about land. Then we can launch it from air as well. The other thing is our the submarine capacity is 750 kilometer. The torpedoes, these nuclear torpedoes, can hit a target that is 750 kilometers away. So it could be either Pakistan or China. But now talking about China, China, just like India, has consistently said this thing from last 50 years, that it will never be the first country that will attack another nation with this nuclear weapons. That's what China has said. So we have to believe them as well. I'm not saying blindly, but this is something that we are also trying to spread out we are also trying to spread this message in different parts of the world, or with different countries. So we are on the same page. The other thing is that last year 122 nations, right, 122 nations voted in favor of the Treaty on Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons. So India has, of course, not voted for this treaty, but India has always said this thing, that if all the 9 nations are ready to drop nuclear weapons, then India is on board. India take it as a yes from India too. If all nations, all nuclear powers are ready to get rid of their nuclear capacity. So these are the things. So basically this article is asking us this question, or is forcing us to ask ourselves this question, that do we really need this sort of SSBNs, because in terms of cost as well, they are too expensive. One submarine will cost us 70,000 crore rupees, and to maintain one submarine per year expense would be somewhere between 2,000 to 5,000 crore rupees. Moving on to next item, it's a very small and you can say easy to understand article, Krishna will sing. Now what it is all about, I'll explain it to you in a minute, but before that let me draw your attention to this fact that today is Saturday, so we don't have that many articles to go through. We have 4 articles to go through. We are already done with 2, so now we have to go with 2, and today is going to be a very lean version of the Hindu analysis, as I have already informed you guys that I am traveling at present, right? So things will be back to normal. I'm sure you all are waiting for some research topics and some questions that I do ask you on regular basis. But one more thing is there, that as far as Hindi version of the Hindu analysis is concerned, students are a bit active. When it comes to English version, right, that activeness is missing with you guys. So I really want you guys to to pick up, and I want you guys to take these challenges and go through this research topics that I provide you, and do provide answers as well. The reason why I ask you to provide answer is not just to fetch some more comments, right? That's not my purpose here at all. The main meaning or main thing is that if you go through something, and if you try to answer a particular question, then you are doing so many things at a time. Have you ever considered this thing that you go on Google or something, and then you do a little bit of research, and after that research you try to note down some points. After noting down that points, you come to this question. When you come to this question, then you try to answer that question using your own words, and then you have to also check your grammatical error. It's not, of course we are using this platform, digital platform, but it's not necessary that you have to use this SMS type of language or WhatsApp language. You can take it as seriously as writing an answer practice, so if you do this thing right, this overall whole process will benefit, and within couple of weeks, right, you will find yourself in a much better position as far as retaining things is concerned, as far as grasping and doing research and writing down answers and things are concerned, right? So Krishna will sing is about T.M. Krishna, the person that you can see on your screen. He's a singer. His program was supposed to be, it was going to get executed today in Delhi, in Saturday basically today. So this Speak McCoy program was going to host this Krishna, singer Krishna, and this Speak McCay, not McCoy, Speak McCay program was sponsored by Airport Authority of India. Now all of the sudden Airport Authority of India suddenly bailed out itself from this sponsorship, and one reason what this editorial is trying to teach us is that this gentleman here, Mr. Krishna has been an outspoken critic of Narendra Modi government. He is a Magsaysay award winner as well, and he has also attempted to break these barriers of orthodoxy, caste and classes many a time. So he's a bit of a social activist too, and the reason why means it's not a direct reason based on evidence or something, but it's something that we can make out of this assumption that because the Airports Authority of India works, at the end of the day it is government. So if government of India is stepping out from this sponsorship, then one reason could be this outspoken criticism by Mr. Krishna of Mr. Modi or his government. So this could be one of the reasons why this thing might have happened. Whatever the reason is, we are not sure about it. The good thing is that Delhi government is going to conduct this concert, and it is going to take place today in another venue, so it's fine. But what about democratic ethos? A couple of days ago I shared a story of Jawaharlal Nehru, remember? So democratic ethos is something that is, I'm not saying that Prime Minister himself, Mr. Modi himself would be engaging in there, of course not, because any Prime Minister, Congress or BJP Prime Minister, he or she would be busy with so many things. So many things are more important as far as our nation is concerned. But of course, one thing we can clearly say using our common sense, that there are a few people out there in government, right? They would be behind this sort of sudden bailout of Airports Authority of India from this program. So they have to think about this democratic ethos. And the other thing is they are doing more damage to their party, to their leader, rather than doing damage to Mr. Krishna, or by banning any book or film or any other thing. Getting the economy back on track. This article is written by Subramanian Swamy. Now, he's a very famous face in our country. I'm sure you are aware that he's a teacher. He teaches economics. He is a Supreme Court lawyer as well. He is leader of very famous face of BJP, RSS, and here he is writing about economics. And he is talking about Indian economy. Now, economics is a technical subject, right? Technical subject of interdependent variables and parameters that allows for objective, mathematical, and statistical analysis. So it's easy to understand. One thing is clear, that everything is interdependent in economics, and you cannot just rely on some basic things. As far as your general studies is concerned, don't take this thing too seriously. When I say too seriously, I mean to say that for you, for your examination for civil services, right, they don't expect a PhD in economics from you. They expect basic understanding, a good sound understanding of economics. That's more than enough. Right, so don't worry about this thing. This article is not just written for you guys or for aspirants, right? It is written for everyone, and particularly I think it is written for Finance Minister Arun Jaitley, because Arun Jaitley and Subramanian Swamy, they are not doing well as far as their friendship or fellowship is concerned. Anyways, we are not getting into politics here. We will focus on the things and some logical points provided by Subramanian Swamy. Now, what he is saying that our economy is in a serious crisis because there are 7 points here. The first is that growth rate of the economy as far as GDP is concerned, it has declined. The second point is household savings has gone down. It was 34% of GDP. At present, it is 24% of GDP in 2017. Now, saving is something that is part of our culture. If I'm not wrong, after Japan, our culture comes second, Indian culture, when it comes to saving. We like, or we love saving money, isn't it? So household saving plays a very important role in our economy. The non-household savings are about 5% of GDP, which is not that good. GST is something that Mr. Subramanian Swamy is not happy about at all. Non-performing assets, you know it very well what it is all about. I have explained this thing to you many a times now, so I'm not going into the details of NPAs. But when NPAs are going up, that means it will create a sort of shock in the market. It will create some catastrophic situation for various different banks. Ministry of Finance has brutally cut allocations of investments in infrastructure. Infrastructure is a very basic thing. So if you don't have infrastructure, just imagine if you don't have electricity, if you don't have road connectivity, if you don't have airport connectivity, if you don't have seaport connectivity, if you don't have other basic things, roads and other things, then your village or your state will be lagging behind other states, and it will be not. We cannot claim that our state is, or your state, particular state, or this imaginary state is living in 21st century. It is living in 19th century, or maybe if you don't have electricity, then 18th century. So naturally, you are not going to get that much investment or growth opportunities if you don't have infrastructure. And if you create infrastructure, then its ripple effect is quite positive in long term and in medium term, and many times in short term as well. So Ministry of Finance has brutally cut allocations of investments in infrastructure. So this is, I think, the 5th reason. The 6th one is MSMEs. I beg your pardon. 1 2 3 4 5 6 right here we have this 7th reason is MSME. Situation of MSME. A couple of days ago we were talking about this thing. MSME has or is employing or providing this employment to 11 crore people, remember. So growth rate of MSME is between 2 to 5%. So yearly growth is not good, or growth rate is not good. Agriculture, very bad situation. And crude prices, we all know that crude prices, dollar and rupee going down in terms of in relation with a dollar, and crude prices going up, so it is hitting us very badly. So here what he is trying to suggest is that we need to create this, tax. As far as taxes are concerned, it should be a bit more lenient. Rates should be a bit soft compared to what we have at present. And he also talked about this opening our market for technologies from USA and Israel, and he's also talking about access to markets of USA and Israel and other countries for our products. Moving on to latest news items, Gaja wreaks havoc in Tamil Nadu. That is a name of cyclone. Gaja means elephant maybe. And Andhra Pradesh, West Bengal withdraws general consent to CBI. That means now CBI, if CBI wants to conduct an inquiry in the state of Andhra Pradesh or West Bengal, then it will have to take permission on case by case basis from the state government. CBC report is out now. Supreme Court asks for Verma's reply. Victory for India in Chawla case. Chawla is Sanjeev Chawla, alleged bookie. Now we will be able to bring him back in our country, and he will face courts or law. India's Act East policy can meet OBOR has been said by Chinese envoy, and we find a negative statement on this OBOR from Nasheed, who was president of Maldives. He says that a thorough audit is required. These are your vocabs. Dear friends, I will share this PDF of today's lecture as soon as possible on my FB and other Twitter and our Telegram channel. And thank you very much for your support. From Monday, things will be back to normal. I am traveling at present as well. So this is after such a long time I'm traveling, so bear with me. From Monday things will be back to normal. Thank you very much for your love, support and understanding. God bless you all. Enjoy your Saturday evening and Sunday. I'll see you tomorrow anyways. God bless. Jai Hind.